So last meeting, we talked about the different parts of speech and we have started on discussing each part of it. And we are done already with understanding what nouns are. And of course, we discussed about concrete and abstract nouns, singular and plural nouns, as well as possessive nouns, compound nouns, common and proper nouns. And we also had an activity, which I hope all of you were able to take because this is a recorded activity. Now, today in our discussion, we will be talking about pronouns. Pronouns. We are done with nouns. This time, we will identify what pronouns are. So, what are pronouns? So a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun, a group of words acting as a noun, or another pronoun. The word or group of words to which a pronoun refers is called its antecedent. Okay, an example would be, when Anne Scott Momaday wrote The Way to Rainy Mountain, he was retelling Kiowa legends. The pronoun he in this example takes the place of the noun and Scott Momaday. Another example is Langston Hughes and Arnab Bontemps were major figures of the Harlem Renaissance. Both edited the Book of Negro Folklore. Now the pronoun both takes the place of the nouns Langston and Arnab. Okay, so here in the first example, the pronoun here is he, again, which refers or takes the place of the proper noun and Scott Momaday. And on the second example, we have here Langston and Arna. Now, in the next sentence, they did not use the same words or the same nouns or the same proper nouns, but instead it has to be replaced with a pronoun, which is both. Another example, very few can still remember poems they memorized for class. So the pronoun they here actually takes the place of few in this sentence. There are about 75 pronouns in English. Again, there are 75. There are a lot. So if you can memorize the 75, why not? It would be a greater advantage over you. Now, each pronoun belongs in one or more of these categories. So it could be a personal pronoun or a possessive pronoun, reflexive and intensive pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns, and indefinite pronouns. So today, we will discuss each of these categories so that we would get to master and we would know how to identify them. Remember, understanding the basic parts of speech would help us understand even more the rules of grammar later on. So that's why you need to master this. A personal pronoun refers to a person or a specific person, place, thing, or idea by indicating the person speaking. So here, in the under personal pronoun, it's actually divided into three categories. So we have the first person. This is the person who is actually speaking. Okay? So the person or people being spoken to are the second person. Or any other person, place, thing, or idea being talked about is actually the third person. So again, the first person is the one who is talking. The second person is the person you are talking to. And the third person is the person you are talking about. So personal pronouns express number, that is, they are either singular or plural. So even if they are as a category, they are called they are called personal pronouns. They are actually divided into two. So whether they are singular or plural. Take for example, the first person is singular. The first person personal pronoun that is actually considered singular. We have the I and me. I and me. Then the first person plural is we and us. So what we did is we just pluralized the first person singular. That's the point because it's the singular form and the plural form. Now the second person does not change because the pronoun you should always take the plural form of verb when we are talking about grammar. Now here, the personal pronoun that is in the second person, in both singular and plural, is actually you. Next, third person, singular, include he, him, she, her, and it. But the plural forms are just, divided into two. There are only two plural forms of all of these singular forms of verb in the third person. So we have they and them. Okay. So example here, a sentence example. For the first person, we will keep the pup with us. We and us refer to the people speaking. So it is in plural form. So the personal pronouns used in this example belong to the first person category and in plural form because of the we and the us. Now in the second example, which belongs to the second person example, you may use the spell checking program. The you refers to the person or people being addressed. So in this case, it could either be plural or singular. Maybe the person you are talking to or the people that you are talking to they are actually singular or plural because again you use the pronoun you. Now the third person personal pronoun in this example is they accomplished all the tasks assigned to them. They and them refer to persons being discussed. Third person singular pronouns also express gender. He and him are masculine, while she and her are feminine. And the pronoun it is considered a neuter. That is neither masculine or feminine. Now, if you are talking about the ongoing SOGI or SOGI or LGBTQA, there are developments regarding that. But yes, again, with the grammar that we are discussing in this class, we follow the original standard that there are specific pronouns to express specific gender. Now, among the personal pronouns are forms that show possession or ownership, So there are personal pronouns, but this time it's on the possessive form. These are called possessive pronouns, and they take the place of the possessive forms of nouns. So examples would be, for first person, possessive in singular form, we have my or mine. And then we have the plural form of this, we have our and ours. For second person, we have your and yours. And then again, it is still the same when we pluralize them. So we have your and yours. Okay, and then we have the third person possessive pronoun. The singular form includes his, her, hers, its. But the plural form only has two two ways of uh, putting it into plural possessive form in the third person. So we have their and theirs. Some of the pronouns in the chart above are paired. In the pairs, the first form can be used before a noun. So the first pair could be used before a noun. The second form in each pair can stand alone as a noun does. Examples: his and its can be used in both ways. So what are examples? So we have here, used before a noun. Is that her journal? So it is referring to the ownership of the journal. Therefore, it is placed before the noun. Okay. And it could also be used alone. Okay. This is one way of using it. That journal is hers. So this time, it is placed after the noun. Okay, or after the noun and the verb. Okay. Notice that possessive pronouns do not contain apostrophe. Again, notice that possessive pronouns do not contain apostrophe. Take particular note that the possessive form, its, has no apostrophe. Remember that it is a common error to mistake its without the apostrophe and the contraction its with the apostrophe. What do you mean by its? The its without, by the way, that's why they are confusing, because they have the same pronunciation, the same spelling, but there's just an addition of a symbol. So here, its without the apostrophe is the pronoun. But this one with the apostrophe, it is still a pronoun. But the apostrophe s means it is. It is. It is a contraction of it is. Example, the cat was eating its food. So it is in possessive pronoun. It's my mother's cat is a contraction for it is. So there is a difference. Now I need you to answer the practice exercise on personal pronouns in page 104. Again, I need you to answer the practice exercise in personal pronouns. Okay, these are items 1 to 10. For the instructions, write each pronoun. Identify it by writing first person, second person, or third person. Then write singular or plural. If the pronoun is possessive, write possessive. Number 1. Workers must pay income tax if their earnings are in excess of a specified limit. Number 2. When the accused was confronted with the evidence, he confessed. Number 3. Deciduous trees lose their leaves in autumn. Number 4. Despite her heavy practice schedule, Jeanette maintained a B+ average. Ours is the first house on the right. Number 6. We moved from Wyoming 3 years ago. Number 7. The dog wagged its tail. Number 8. Please fasten your seatbelts. Number 9. Dogs pant because they do not perspire as humans do. Number 10. I am amazed by the forces of nature. Now, again, you will answer this part of our discussion, and I will be providing an example of how you will be writing this in your Google document form so that you will not be confused. I will be providing a document as a sample of your answers, okay? So, let's go to the next part of the discussion. So, we have the reflexive and intensive pronouns. So what is the difference between reflexive and intensive? We will discuss that in the later part of this discussion. So, to form the reflexive and intensive pronouns, add the suffix self, self, or the plural form selves, to certain personal and possessive pronouns. So here are examples. So an example for a first person in singular form of a reflexive and intensive pronoun is myself. The plural form is ourselves. The second person singular form reflexive and intensive pronoun is yourself, and when you pluralize it, yourselves. The third person reflexive and intensive pronouns in the singular form, we have himself, herself, itself. And the plural form is themselves. Notice that there are no such words as himself, theirselves, or theirselves. Okay. Now, here's the difference now of a reflexive and an intensive pronoun. So, what is a reflexive pronoun? They have the same form, they have the same spelling with intensive pronouns. But why are they different? So here are the important difference, as we go along. So our reflective pronoun refers back to the subject of the sentence or clause and indicates that the same person or thing is involved. A reflexive pronoun adds information to a sentence. So example would be, we considered ourselves lucky to have avoided the tornado. So the reflexive pronoun here is ourselves. It is giving a reflection, or it's reflecting the pronoun we. Okay, ourselves is like the reflection, is actually the reflection of the pronoun we. Now another example is, in stage makeup, I don't even like myself. So myself here is a reflection of the pronoun I. Now this time, let's go into intensive pronoun. An intensive pronoun adds emphasis to another noun or pronoun. It does not add information to a sentence. If the intensive pronoun is omitted, the meaning of the sentence will still be the same. So there is that difference. Okay. Here is an example. You yourself, remember there is that repetition. It's an intensifying pronoun, you yourself, in this example here. You yourself decided not to rename the file. An intensive pronoun is often placed directly after its antecedent. So, directly after the antecedent. However, an intensive pronoun may appear anywhere in a sentence. It is often placed directly after the antecedent, but it doesn't mean it is always there. Again, just often. Okay. However, an intensive pronoun may appear anywhere in a sentence. Okay, so we have an example. We actually have two examples. I myself balanced the checkbook. So in this example, the intensive pronoun is just right beside the antecedent. But in the second example, I balanced the checkbook myself. But in the second example, the reflexive, the intensive pronoun is at the last part or at the end of the sentence. Okay? So these are your reflexive and intensive pronouns. Now let's go to demonstrative pronouns. Let's go to demonstrative pronouns. A demonstrative pronoun points out specific persons, places, things, or ideas. Again, a demonstrative pronoun points out specific persons, places, things, or ideas. So example of demonstrative pronouns include this, which is the singular form, and these, that is the plural form. There is a difference in pronunciation. This, it's the short I sound, and then we have the these. It is the long E sound for plural form. And then the singular form, the demonstrative pronoun in the singular form, we have that if it is far. And then we have the plural form is those. So if you're referring to a book that you are holding or that is very near, you're holding this, that is singular. And then when you are holding a lot of books, say these books. But if the items or the objects are away and then you're pointing at them, you point them out and you use the pronoun that for singular and those for plural form. Okay. And then we have here interrogative pronouns. But let us go on first with example of the demonstrative pronouns. So we have here, this is your new toothbrush. Let me do that for you. What are these the cookies you liked so well? I think I'll take those. Okay. Now, interrogative and relative pronouns. An interrogative pronoun is used to form questions. So, ito na yung WH questions. So, definitely, what are these? These are who, whom, whose, whoever, whomever, whatever, which, whichever, or what. Okay, example. Who made this delicious salad dressing? Whom are you expecting? Whose are these cute earrings? What did she say? Which of the flavors is your favorite? Whatever were you thinking? Whomever are you calling at this time of night? So these are interrogative pronouns, pronouns that are used to ask questions. Okay. Now, a relative pronoun is used to begin a special subject-verb-word group called a subordinate clause. So relative. The other one is used to ask questions, and the other one is a special subject-word group. A special subject-word group, which is also known as a subordinate clause. So when do you put it in a sentence, or how do you put it in a sentence? Well, let's find out by checking this example. By the way, relative pronouns include who, whom, whoever, whomever, whichever, which, whose, whatever, that, and what. Okay. So example, Rhonda held out paper cups of water to the marathon runners, who grabbed them eagerly. So the who here functions as a relative pronoun. If you notice, the relative and interrogative, they have the same form, they have the same spelling, but the use of these pronouns in sentences would actually matter, whether they are used as interrogative or relative pronouns. Another example, the novel that she wrote is on the bestseller list. The relative pronoun that begins the subordinate clause that she wrote. So if you would notice, this could actually, the subordinate clause could actually, it is dependent. Okay? It is actually dependent. And if you would look at it. The sentence could exist. The sentence is grammatically correct even if without the subordinate clause, because that subordinate clause is just helping out to give further details about the noun or the subject. Now let's go to the last discussion, the indefinite pronouns. An indefinite pronoun refers to a person, a place, a thing, or an idea in a more general way than a noun does. So example, do you know anyone in your class? So the indefinite, in short, when you say indefinite, it's not sure, or there's that element of doubt, okay? So the indefinite pronoun anyone does not refer to a specific person, okay? Another example of an indefinite pronoun is, several have submitted applications for college. The indefinite pronoun several does not refer to a specific group of people. Now, the next example, the group responsible for posters reported that none were ready. The indefinite pronoun none has the specific antecedent posters. Okay. So, I will still give more examples about indefinite pronouns, but let's review first the content of our discussion for pronouns today. So, we introduce what pronoun is, and then we give samples, and we have actually identified that a pronoun refers to an antecedent. Okay, it refers to the noun, which is called its antecedent. Now we discussed personal and possessive pronouns. We also discussed reflexive and intensive pronouns. We also discussed demonstrative pronouns, interrogative and relative pronouns, and indefinite pronouns. Now, I need you to remember these pronouns and be able to identify the kind of pronouns, or the categories, and whether it has to be used for singular or plural use. Okay. So that concludes our discussion today on pronouns. I need you to still tune in for the next part, which is verbs. I need you to listen very carefully on this next part. Anyhow, I'd like to say goodbye so that you can take your rest, and then you can still practice your exercises in pronouns. So with that, thank you, and I hope you'll listen to the discussion